Jeff Little here, bringing you a Kayak Angler magazine video exclusive on tackle crafting. The reason I'm doing this particular video is I wanted to do a follow-up for the article I did in the winter 2013 Kayak Angler on how to shoot your own soft baits. What I'm going to be doing tonight is showing you how to make your own jig heads like this. I'm using this mold here to do it mold, and it's for a Style 9 shad jig head. And the way that I see it, there's really two reasons why people get into tackle crafting, making your own baits. One, you can make baits a lot cheaper than you can buy them in the store. A jig head like this, a nice one like this, is probably going to run you at least a buck, maybe $1.25. You can make this one right here for I think about 17 or 18 cents. The other is guys want to make stuff that is of the quality that you can't even get in the store. A lot of the hooks that you see in tackle shops have these huge, thick, heavy wire hooks, and I actually prefer to use a more fine wire hook. And I couldn't find one like this, so I said, okay, I'm going to make my own. So let me show you how I do it. Before we get started, I'm going to go over the materials that we're using. This is the mold. These are the hooks. The mold themselves, it'll actually tell you right on there what style hook to use. And that's the one that it says to use is this one right here. I used these and I really felt that it was overkill for the size and how thick it was. And like I said, I like a thin wire hook. So I ordered some of my own. There's all sorts of different hooks that will fit in there. They design it for one in particular, but using a Dremel tool and a little bit of elbow grease, you can grind things down and make sure that all kinds of different hooks fit. This is a wide gap black nickel that I used, and that's been working out real well for me. Once you pour the jig head, it's going to look like this. You're going to want to powder paint it, and we got I actually use glowing powder paint, and you can dip it, you can heat it up and dip it right into this can, or you can use what I use, which is right over here. That's a fluid bed, and then this is a heat gun where I heat up the lead head so that the powder paint sticks to it. I got some eyes, adhesive 3D eyes that I'm going to stick on there, and afterwards I'm going to seal those eyes on there. And this is a product called Seal Coat, and actually has a UV, an ultraviolet blast component that really makes the jig head glow phosphorescent, but also glow in terms of radiating a lot of ultraviolet light. A lot of guys, when they get started, wonder, hey, where do you get the lead? People use tire weights, people use all kinds of stuff. I'm glad I left those days behind me, because they make for some really nasty, smoky lead pots here. This lead is very pure, and it's from a company out in California called Roto Metals. So let me go ahead and get my safety glasses on here, and we'll get started pouring. So basically, all you're doing is setting the hook in there, closing the mold, sliding it under the spout. Now see if I can get this to lift up at the same time. And that's not pouring real well. That's a pretty common issue, and I'm going to show you a real quick trick how to fix that. If you take, and I'll get a pair of pliers, this is just a spinnerbait wire, and what I'm going to do with a pair of pliers is I will stick it up into that pour spout and I will pull it out, and as soon as it comes out, it'll be good and hot, and I'll take this candle here and I'll kind of scrape some of the wax on there. And what the wax does is it acts as a fluxing agent. Again, I'm not going to be doing this with my hand. I'll use a pair of pliers and shove it up there, and it'll clean a lot of the impurities that you see out of this very hot pour spout. There's also a fluxing agent that you can add to your lead, and you're going to be just sacrifice an old spoon. You're going to be skimming out a lot of those materials so that you have nice clean lead to work with. You do have some stuff that oxidizes, and you'll have some impurities that you'll want to skim out from time to time. Yeah, see how nice it's shooting now? Straight out. Much better. Alright, got my hooks in there. Go ahead and one ounce. 2 ounce, and it doesn't take long to cool, so we're going to go ahead and open that up, and we got our jig heads. Well, almost. We got these pour spouts that we're going to have to cut off here, and I actually use a pair of, these are old I don't know, heavy duty toenail clippers. They do a nice job. Trim that off, and you can remelt that. Throw that back up in the top. Tap off any jagged edges. You do a mess of these, and then we're ready to powder paint. Now if you get one that doesn't pour very well, or like this one didn't have the collar. See, these ones down here all have the double barbed collar, and this one didn't, but don't waste that. Don't throw that away. All you do is dip that back down into the lead, then you get your hook back. You can tap that off, and then you can reuse this hook, throw it right back in the mold. Got a little bit more lead on there. Okay, and just start over. The next step in this process is the powder painting the jig heads. You can get all sorts of different colors that glow. You can get some with glitter, but I'm actually going to combine. I have a sort of a green glow in there. I'm going to try and make it sort of an aqua color. I got the blue. I like blending a lot of these powder paints. I'm going to mix that up, see what that looks like. Now the fluid bed is just a it's basically the aerator pump of like you would have in a fish tank, hooked up to this base, and it forces air up through the bottom of this porous. This is porous. The air flows through there and into the cup where I have all the powder. And what that does is it aerates it and keeps it nice and fluffy, so that when you heat up the jig head and you stick it in there, you get a nice even coat on that. It's a really nice tool to use. The other thing I'm using here is this is just a heat gun, kind that you would use for flooring, or I don't know, getting paint off stuff. So we'll go ahead and fire that up, and I'll powder paint a bunch of these, and then we're going to cure them in my toaster oven right here. So this is my powder paint curing toaster oven. Just a cheap, I don't even think it costs 25 bucks. But it does the job. It cures all my jig heads. So I'll let those cool, and we'll start decorating the heads with eyes and some UV blast. Now from here on out it gets a lot easier. I'm going to take these 3D eyes, apply them to both sides of each of these jigs. And I'm going to be fishing these down near a lot of real rocky areas, so I want to make sure these 3D eyes don't come off. And this is a product called Seal Coat, and that's just going to seal these eyes on there real good. But it's got a special ingredient in it. It's called UV Blast, and what that does, I actually use the UV Blast in a, I dip a lot of my soft plastics in it. You can actually get UV Blast powder paint, but I go the route of using the, this Seal Coat. And you just dip that in there. That makes sure that those eyes are going to stay on there, and that ultraviolet light is going to reflect off of it. The UV blast is really something that can set a lure like this or a jig head like this apart from others, where it's really going to excel over stuff you can buy off the shelf, because ultraviolet light penetrates to a deeper depth. Sometimes we're fishing for these striper in 30, 40, 50 feet of water, and having something that stands out just a little bit more, the glow, the UV, the eyes, it all kind of comes together, make a really fantastic bait. So I'll hang that there to dry, and last step, rig it up with the 7-inch What's-It I made with the Do It Soft Baits mold. And that right there, it's going to catch some nice big stripers here in about 2 days. Looking forward to it. He feels solid. They grab the current and they're good to go. Oh, he's better than average. Oh, that's a big striped bass. Oh, that's good. That's fun. Sweet! Ah, fishy. Hi. Hi. Hi.